All right, shalom, and welcome to another Bible study that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. My name is Esaac ben Israel, and I'm the priest of the United Congregation of Israel. And this is our weekly Bible study that we do on every fourth day, or as is more commonly known as Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. These classes are broadcast by YouTube, and there's also a call line, and you can get that number off of our webpage at theuci.org. From time to time, we may have internet issues. Those classes should be recorded on that call line, and you can actually go back and listen to some other classes as well, but it should play the latest one as soon as you call the playback number. Before we get started, we're going to begin with the prayer. So let's rise and face the east. All males, remove your head covering, and females always pray with their head covered. Abba Father, Most High Covenant Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, we thank you, Abba Father, for giving us some form of understanding of your word, that we may be able to learn how to walk in the culture that you have given unto your people Israel. We acknowledge our sins against you, Father, for we have greatly walked against the word that you have given us. We were raised up in the daughter of Babylon, and we learned all of her ways. But we understand that these things came about because our forefathers were disobedient against your word. We were disobedient against your culture. We pray, Father, that you would have mercy on us as we begin to learn step by step where the mistakes were made, so that we will not continue to walk in those things, that we will not make the same mistakes that our forefathers made. We pray, Father, that you will give us all the knowledge and wisdom and understanding that we need to not only help our own households, but to also help the lost sheep who are trying to find their way back to your sheepfold, Abba Father. We pray that you would allow us to borrow of your spirit of understanding on this night, that we may be able to grow out of the legacy that you have left here for us to regain our culture here in these latter days. We ask these prayers not only for those that gather with us physically, but even those that gather by way of phones and by way of internet, those that gather out of a pure heart to serve you in truth and in spirit. In Yeshua HaMashiach's holy and divine name we pray. Amen and hallelujah.
Amen.
All right. Now these Bible studies are open question and answer. So if you guys have a question at any time, you can stop me and say, hey, I got a question about such and such. Doesn't matter if we're, on that particular topic or not. Just let me know if you have a question. Matter of fact, before we get started, we're going to begin in Daniel chapter 4. But do you guys have any questions that was, I guess already in your heart before you got here? Do you have any particular thing that you were thinking? And we can go along if you want to, get, let the class go for a little while, and then, that's fine too. I know, it's like, you just walk in the door and somebody like put the mic up to your mouth. So tell me how you really feel. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't got to talk just yet, but just letting you know, as we go, if you got a question, you can, just stop us. Daniel chapter 4, and let's start that at verse 1.
Nebuchadnezzar the king, unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth. Peace be multiplied unto you.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it good to show the signs and wonders that the high Elohim has wrought toward me.
Right. So one of the things that we have to understand, and I think a lot of times we limit Yahweh into believing that the Father Yah only deals with, Israelites, or he only deals with certain people. We have to understand that the entire earth belongs to him. So he's dealing with good, bad, ugly. There's some people that he just need them for a day. Somebody got to do some evil today. Who gonna do it? And people sign themselves up. I do it. I do it. Sign me up. I've been waiting to do some evil. Now, they're not gonna get any righteous credit for this work, but you have to understand that even when we go back to where the lying spirit was, the lying spirit offered up his lying abilities. Nobody asked him to lie. They said, how are we going to lead this particular individual? Because he's been doing evil. How are we going to lead Ahaz so he will fall? Then here come a lying spirit, said, I'll go. I'll deceive him so he'll fall. So then the other spirit sit back. Well, how you going to do it? Oh, I'm going to be a lying spirit. Now, you know the rest of them sitting there looking like, who taught you how to lie? Because according to the book, it says when the adversary, Hallel, Satan, Lucifer, when he tells a lie, he tells of his own, for he is the father of it. So he created a lie. So then when this other lying spirit, understand that this is an angel talking, and he automatically says, I will lie. Send me. So you going to volunteer to go lie? Man, so who you been hanging out with? Because why are you so comfortable lying? But you notice that this lying spirit was sent out. Nothing else was said. There's sometimes that you got to step back and let whatever that is in somebody's heart, let it go ahead and go forward so you can see the end of that thing. So you going to go ahead and be a lying spirit? I tell you what, go ahead. I'm going to sit back and I'm finna watch you lie. Because I know I didn't teach you that. But you got it from somewhere. So when we understand these things, there are people who may not be walking in any kind of righteousness, but Yahweh will say, oh, this is my servant. Why? Because this is a warring man anyway. All he do is go out and war and seek people to destroy. Okay? Then you got some servants over here that ain't doing what they supposed to do. So Yahweh say, you know what? You like to fight. And they need a whooping. I tell you what, Nebuchadnezzar, won't you meet Israel? He ain't got to tell him to do nothing because he won't fight anyway. That's all he want to do, fight. Fight, 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 fight. And a lot of times what we don't understand is if we do things a certain way, there are certain things that will never be presented to us. In certain instances, you'll get to a part of the book where these brothers will go to war. And I'm talking about this is holy of Yahweh, the angels leading us, and then he leaves a certain number of people still alive. And if you read this book enough, you'll know why them people left alive. That's to see if you're going to do what you're supposed to do. Because that one person that's left ends up growing into a whole army. And as long as you do what you're supposed to do, you'll never have any issues from them. But if you don't, Yahweh already got a whole... Now that one person has great indignation because you have basically destroyed their whole family and their whole kingdom. So now they have been raised up with nothing but absolute hatred against you. And they've been practicing fighting the whole time you sitting in peace. They've been practicing fighting. And they've been thinking about, you know how people make up the targets and they shooting? It's your face on the target. This is what he's been practicing with. And when you step outside of Yahweh's protection, now this person who you ain't even been thinking about no war. Matter of fact, this will probably end up happening on your children. And your children don't understand why these people, hating me. No. These people have been practicing on how to kill you for the last 50 years. And now that we step outside that hedge of protection, now that thing is then activated. So don't think that Yahweh has to create some hate against us. He leaves a few things open that he will then allow to be activated when we don't do what we're supposed to do. Go ahead.
Verse 3. How great are his signs, and how mighty are his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at rest in mine house, and flourishing in my palace. I saw a dream which made me afraid, and the thoughts upon my bed and the visions of my head troubled me. Therefore made I a decree to bring in all the wise men of Babylon before me, that they might make known unto me the interpretation of the dream. Then came in the magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And I told the dream before them, but they did not make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But at the last Daniel came in before me, whose name was Belteshazzar.
Now, his name is Daniel, but this name glorifies Daniel's Elohim. You know, Daniel is I will be or judged of El. El, short for Elohim. El was all they knew as God. So Daniel, this name glorifies Elohim, which is the first name that they knew. When we read this book, then later on, he told them his name was Yah, but they didn't understand that at the beginning. So now you have this name glorifying Daniel's God, but this other name that he's going to give him, Belteshazzar, he tells you what this name is there for. What does he say? His name was Belteshazzar. What comes after that?
According to the name of my God.
According to the name of my God. So people who are in control have a tendency to rename things to glorify whatever it is they worship. When we got here, any ethnic names we had was removed from us. We all saw the story of Roots. Kunta Kinte was beaten very bad. He went through all of these things so that he can change his name to Toby. Why? Toby was going to glorify the Christian gods of the captors. So you can't maintain your culture if this other people rule over you. So what they need to do is assimilate you into their culture. And the biggest part of assimilation is name. Whenever I am trying to, ascertain who somebody is or what they worship, people don't really know it, but their name says all of that. If I say I'm going to meet my friend Muhammad, you already have a picture in your head of what he looks like, and you already know what he worships. I ain't have to tell you that. All I had to do is tell you his name. Well, whether we know it or not, that's what Toby is. These are Christian names. The names that we have here naturally, what we call now our slave name. Your slave name says that you're a Christian. That's what your slave name say. Or your slave name say whatever it was that the people who basically owned us, they gave us their names and even our last names. If you go far enough or search deep enough, you're going to run into other families who don't look like you who got this same last name. That's what those last names come from, the slave masters who owned us. And a lot of times we walk around and we'll tell you we got pride in the name. Oh, we got so much pride in the name. So you got pride in your slave master. And this is what ends up happening. This is why you have things. Hold your place right there. And let's go to Isaiah chapter 44. This is why there's things like this even written. Isaiah 44, and let's read verses 1 through 5.
Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Yisrael, whom I have chosen. Thus said the Yah that made you, and formed you from the womb, which will help you. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and you, Yeshurun, whom I have chosen.
Now understand, Yahweh has a lot of nicknames that he has for Israel, which is one of the things that we often do for one another, and we do it more than any other nationality on the face of this planet. We nickname, we'll have 2, 3 names. That a lot of times, that's how we know where we know you from. So if somebody walk up and they call you slave name, you be like, oh, they know me from work. Then somebody come up and they be like, boo boo. You be like, oh no, that's my partner right there. That's my partner. Cause see, don't nobody but my family call me boo boo. See, we already know. Yahweh did the same way. You will find one place Yahweh said this name. Next thing, it's another name. We look at Solomon or Shlomo. That ain't the name he was given. The name he was given was Jedediah. We all don't know him by his government name. We know him by the name that the folk call him. But see, you walk up and tell somebody Jedediah, they be like, who is that? We don't even know that name. But you say Shlomo, we be like, oh, okay. Yeah, you talking about Slick. Yeah, we know him. So this is not a strange occurrence for us, especially after having to go in servitude in other people's land. You ain't in control. So you don't get to dictate those things. Matter of fact, even when it came down to names, the slaves only had one name. When they got ready to try to make us legal, they said, you got to have two names. What I need to have two names for? Everybody like, no. I know my name. No, you need to have two names. Even if you tried to get, if you bought one of them full breed dogs, which normally we don't do. You know what I'm saying? We get a dog from a friend of a friend, of a friend, of a cousin, of a partner. You know what I'm saying? That's how we get dogs. But when people who got money get dogs, I know we got some members who got money. I know, you know what I'm saying, how they get dogs. That ain't the way I get a dog. That ain't the way none of us got a dog. But anyway, all right, to my, friends with money, when they get a dog, they dog got papers. Them papers, they got 2 and 3 names on them papers. That dog got a paper, it look like birth certificate. Okay? See, that's foreign to us, because when Pookie gave us the dog, we didn't get no papers. He might have gave us a leash. That's the most we got. But even a legit dog has more than one name. So coming out of slavery, they had to give us another name. Why? Because those birth certificates are traded on the stock market. They are basically bonds. On the back of them, they have red numbers on them. Those are numbers that you are able to trade as a commodity. So we believe that people were making us free. What they was doing was still making commerce out of us. If you wonder how a nation constantly borrows money, but they're always in debt, think about it. You get to a certain point that they tell you don't borrow too much money. You go and buy a house, you go and buy a car, you get ready to tell these folks, you know what, I want to buy another house. They say, well, come here, let me see your money. Come here, let's put all your stuff down on the table. We need to figure out, because look at, brother, you got 17 credit cards. You tapped out. You can't get no more credit. So how does a nation continually borrow money and they ain't paid back the last? Anybody know what the deficit is? It's something ridiculous. I stopped even looking at it. I was like, that number go up. That's like, it's like a gas thing that nobody ever stopped getting gas. So the number just keep going. So you can look at it today, it ain't going to be the same tomorrow. Because they constantly borrow money. Well, you have to ask yourself, how can you constantly borrow money? At some point, you should tap out. Well, with those little birth certificate bonds that they have, they are borrowing money on the future production of their citizens. So every time a person is born, they get a piece of paper. And they say, all right, now we can borrow another $1 million because this is how much this person is going to make in their lifetime. So every time another person is born, they get the opportunity to borrow more money. So these numbers help them. But then, of course, our names on those pieces of paper represent the servitude or us being under somebody else's authority. Now let's see what Yahweh's going to say about this. Go ahead.
Verse 3. For I'll pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. I'll pour my spirit upon your seed, and my blessing upon your offspring. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourses. One shall say, I am Yahweh's. And another shall call himself by the name of Yaakov. And another shall subscribe with his hand unto Yahweh, and surname himself by the name of Yisrael.
And why would Israel have to surname themselves Israel? Because understanding that we were going to be shipped to the four corners of the globe, these various slave trades that we have undergone, we have then picked up the names of the places where we ended up going. We all talk about the transatlantic slave trade, but there was a sub-Saharan slave trade before that. So we got brothers that got Indian names. We got brothers that's got Spanish names. We got brothers that's got Old English names. All of these things based on where we end up. And then we grew up learning that language and having that name. So when you consider Daniel's name was changed to Belteshazzar to glorify Nebuchadnezzar's God, now consider the kids that were born in that land in captivity. Because then you got the push to assimilate. Because now they're surrounded by all these other people and they're trying to fit in amongst these people. So now there's even more of a push to try and make things fit the place where we have ended up being. I mean, we watch the Olympics. You can tell which folk is ours. You look now and they be like some, here the runner from Netherlands. And you look, you be like, no, they from the Blackicans. Look at that. That look like my next door neighbor. And they have any old kind of name. Then you look at the Spanish dude, his name, Rodrigo. He got his name, but got all 26 letters in it. And you looking, man, that dude is us. Only difference is he got dropped off at a different place. So his name represents the nation that he has been in. So when Israel is regathered, or as Israel comes out of the captivity of our minds and we understand, this is why Israel will be renaming themselves. This is your first step in true freedom. Because whoever owns something is the one that gets to name it. See, parents name the kids. Kids don't name themselves. That is establishing authority. When the ruling authority names you, they are establishing themselves as the owner of those people and the authoritative figure. And when you accept it, you then have accepted their authority. That's how that works. So we have accepted that authority when we accepted the name. You have to consider, even as a people, how many different titles we have had as a people. From colored to blacks to Afro-American to then African-American. No other group of people have changed what they have been like we have. And the saddest one was probably the one that people get real mad about being called colored. That really tick people off, especially if you say that to this day. But really the saddest one was the one that we would call after a haircut. We call it Afro-American. I mean, that pretty much. So you just call me after a hairstyle? That's got to be the saddest, because how long was that even going to last? It couldn't last as long as the afro. So once the afro was gone, they had to figure out something else. They couldn't keep calling us afro. They're like, well, they ain't got afros no more. So we got to figure out something else to call them. All right, now let's go back to where we were. So now we see that the name has significance, not only in the culture of the individual, but also who that individual worships. That's what the name signifies, and that's why Nebuchadnezzar wanted to name the authoritative people, because understand, these are going to be people, if he's picking people from each one of those lands to set them in an authoritative role, what he's doing is the same thing that happens here. Let's get the top percentile, the 1%, And we will let those people be rich and famous. And what will it do? It will encourage all the lower subjugated people to believe that this can happen to them. All we got to do is learn the King's English. We do this, we do that, we learn all of these things, and we can be like such and such. Look at Daniel sitting in their court. Look at him, he up there with the big dogs. See? So, but understand, he was groomed for this. They said, bring us the best of those people that we may teach them the language of the Chaldeans. Understand how he got there. See? So they picked out some kids, same thing they do to this day. They go through the hood, put out some tests, and say, all right, which one of these kids we going to take to the other side of town? And now they do it with football. They come find them little boys and playing ball, get some little dude, 3 feet, but he jumping out the gym. They come on, guy, come here, boy. Come here. Before you know it, Pookie over here going to Westminster. How the hell you get over there? How Pookie get to Westminster? Oh, man, Pookie got a scholarship. We didn't even know they had scholarships in high school. Yeah. You got to pay to go to them schools. They pay everything for them. They got clothing, they got a ride, they got all those things. See? Because that top percent get to go somewhere else. See, we're going to use that top percent to influence the other 99. Go ahead.
But the sad thing with that influence is even when you make it, you're still not equal, as we saw with that young rapper a couple of days ago. He had money.
See the thing with the young rapper.
Hey, right there in Buckhead, he went to Wells Fargo, withdraw $200,000 of his own money to walk out to his car to be faced with cops with guns in his face. Because the bank manager called the cops. It's my account, it's my money, I didn't rob y'all.
No, that's crazy, bro. Wow. Hey, it's something. It really is. But you know, the way this whole thing is just set up here, you know, we've been here all this time and we still are fighting to just get fair trials here. And a lot of times where we get the question of the fair trial question comes at the point of where the trial is. The part of a fair trial comes way before that. That when they have what they call the grand jury that you never get to see. There's a so-called grand jury of people that get together and they decide whether or not you're going to be charged for a crime. Well, why I don't get to see them? It says I'm supposed to be able to face my accuser. So before y'all even indicted me, that means there was some people who got together in a room and decided that I was going to be charged with a crime. Where they at? Let me see them. Well, no, you don't get to see them. Why not? So that means I don't get to see what they look like. So they're supposed to be a group of my peers. So if my name Ray Ray and they supposed to be a bunch of my peers, I should see Pookie, I should see Man. I should see people who look like and represent me. That ain't what's in that room, though. That's the problem. But those are the people that decide. That's why a person on this side of town did something who looked a certain way, they got charged. Another person who looks a different way did something else in that same county, but they didn't get charged. Why? Because the secret grand jury, who you are not allowed to even know exists, because they changed those people. They pick people, and it's so interesting to me that it's supposed to be like a random selection of people. Like, how many of y'all have ever been called for jury duty? All right, show of hands. How many people have ever been called for jury duty? Okay. Now, yeah, no, but that's not the point. That's not the point. Look. That's almost half the people in this room. Okay. Now, how many of y'all ever called to be on a grand jury? Y'all don't see a problem there? So, you are being called to serve on one side of the court, but you are never called to decide if the individuals are actually charged with a crime. Don't none of us think that's strange? Go ahead.
And then it's embedded inside the Constitution.
What, the grand jury situation? Right. But none of us know anybody. I ain't ran into a person who looked like me yet, who has been called to be on the secret grand jury. So where the hell they get these people from?
You probably never will.
Right. So where they get these
Never
people
will.
from who decide that we are going to be charged with a crime?
Those that are the greater of the other side.
See? But see, none of us pose this question. So before they start any trial I'm on, first day, I need to see my grand jury.
There we go.
Oh, I'm acting a plumb fool.
There we go.
I'm acting a plumb fool. Why? Because I'm supposed to put my eyes on my accusers, and there have been some secret accusers that has decided that I should be charged with a crime. I need them all to come in here. Bring them all in here.
And it's not a crime according to the word.
See, it's very interesting how this whole thing is set up and put together. Go ahead, brother.
Daniel chapter 4 and verse 8. But at the last Daniel came in before me, whose name was Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God, and in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. And before him I told the dream, saying, O Belteshazzar, master of the magicians, because I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in you.
Right. So he lets you know that he worships other gods. Okay. But he's going to give this man the name of his God, but he still wants the positive stuff that'll come from any God. He don't really care which God, answer whatever that is he wants. Like, I'll take it from any God, but I'm going to tell you, now his name is according to my God, but his God can do some stuff my God can't do. So I'm going to let his God take care of his business here. Go ahead.
And no secret troubles you. Tell me the visions of my dream that I have seen, and the interpretation thereof. Thus were the visions of my head in my bed. I saw, and behold, a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great. The tree grew, and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto heaven, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. The leaves thereof were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and it was meat for all. The beast of the field had shadow under it, and the fowls of the heaven dwelt in the boughs thereof, and all flesh was fed of it. And I saw in the visions of my head upon my bed, and, behold, a watcher and an holy one came down from heaven. He cried aloud, and said thus, Hew down the tree, and cut off his branches, shake off his leaves, and scatter his fruit. Let the beasts get away from under it, and the fowls from his branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump of his roots on the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven.
All right. Also, I forgot to check, if you guys are on the internet, if you have questions, you can send your question to the UCI.org at gmail.com. And if we don't get to your question tonight, we'll get to it in another Bible study. And Brother Hananiah, I got your question, and we're going to get to that, which is funny because I was looking at that chapter and I was like, man, that's too long. I don't know if we're going to read that. Then he asked me a question about it. So I guess I should have already just, I'm supposed to go into that. So now you done made me go into it anyway, Hananiah, but I'll get to it in a second. Go ahead, bro.
And let his portion be with the beast and the grass of the earth. Let his heart be changed from man's, and let a beast's heart be given unto him, and let 7 times pass over him. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, and gives it to whomsoever he will.
Stop. That the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, and he gives it to whomsoever he will. So there are portions where, people are trying to sometimes people trying to go back and set up all these other things and do all that. No. Yahweh the one that brought this in. There's some things that's supposed to happen for this particular time, and this is the individual that's going to make this happen. So you got some people that just so upset. Oh my goodness, Trump is in office. He is in office because Yahweh want him there. We can go out and vote as much as we want. We can go and stand in all these lines at the end of the day. Who need to be in there to do the ultimate evil? Because understand, they're at the ending part of their evil. Now we trying to make it work for us. No, we want a good person in there. Look, ain't no more good out of this evil institution. They done stole, rape, murder, pillage, it is coming to the end of what no kingdom has ever lasted forever. Even the greatest ones fall. Nothing lasts forever. This whole thing of democracy was a nice little project. And that project is about to be over here real soon. Because it's a whole made up thing of numbers. It's perceived numbers. This perceived wealth keeps an imaginary thing going. Because if you just look, you can easily fool a system of numbers, especially when it's not real commodities being traded. Like we think money is real commodity. That's a piece of paper. That's a piece of paper just like this. Real commodity is gold. Y'all not trading that. So you never get to see any real commodity. And the paper is not based on the gold. So when you got that, that is a perceived value. And at any time, that value can go away. That's why it's certain countries that have said, hey, don't pay me in that American money. Because I know you can give me $1 million today, devalue it, and tomorrow it's worth $500,000. Now you just paid me half what I'm supposed to get. Go ahead, bro.
Only about 15% of the world's money is on paper. The rest of it just promises and computer.
Well, even if you look at it, it says debt note. It is it's an IOU, bro. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Look, brother, give me 55 IOUs, and then I'll do such and such. Wait a minute, brother. Wait a minute. 55 IOUs? How many of those I'm going to be stuck with? So when you start seeing people who have an enormous amount of money, you'll find out that they start changing their currency over into other things. Because they know, okay, if all of this crashes, I'm left with nothing. So let me get some currencies in other areas so that if it does crash, I got something tangible that I can deal with. Go ahead.
And sets up over it the basis of men. Verse
The
18.
basis of men. So the worst people are the ones that Yahweh will put in order to rule something. And people all hurt. Donald Trump done got all these old crazy rednecks, and now everybody out here. Right. Y'all always say it's redneck time. Come on. I need me a redneck that's going to stir up other rednecks. Send me, I'll go. I'll be a lying spirit. Well, you go, Trump, and you shall prevail. And look, he been lying ever since he been there. He been lying. He was lying before he got the job. He been lying in the job. Man, this comedian tricked me out. Who is, I'm thinking his name. The brother said, they said Barack was of course he said the N-word, black president. He said, but Barack never was a black president because he ain't never do nothing black. No, he said, but this Trump, he's a real N-I-W-G-E-R. He has done some of the foulest stuff ever and still keep going. He told me this man argued with his wife in the inauguration. He said, boy, that's hood stuff right there. Barack ain't never done that. So the black dude said, I connect more with Trump than I do.
But he's keeping it real. He's keeping it real. He's keeping it real to
he keeping it as real as his brain can possibly go.
There you go.
And when you examine that, you look at what puts them in a position to deserve any kind of good leader anyway, with all of the things that have happened. And we think that Hillary would have been something better. Man, her husband passed the worst bill against us. The majority of us are in prison because of her husband's bill. And we all stood in line to go and vote for Bill Clinton. I stood in line for that line vote. So then I had a lady upset with me. You mean you didn't vote? She was up, she wanted to verbally scold me about not vote. Hey, I voted for that last Democrat that put all my people in prison. And what she do? She just acknowledged it. Barack acknowledged it, but didn't nobody go do nothing about it. And then we get a black president. What do he do? Pass a law for the gay and transgender people. You can go into any bathroom you want. I don't care what kind of utensils you have. I am Barack Obama, and I approve this message. That's what the hell you gonna do? We got all our people over here in prison over a upside down law, but you're not gonna fix that. But the gay people can go in any bathroom they want to. Well, thank you, Barack. Thank you for your blackness.
We do what we're taught to do until we know how to do something different that truly enhances our culture as our people, as to walking in the manner of way that Yahweh wants us to walk, toward walking the way that society wants us to walk.
Well, understand something. Barack said straight out, my people were not descendants of slaves. My wife's people were.
That's right.
He already told us that he wasn't us.
So he's the realest person that we've ever had to lead.
Nobody caught it, though.
Yeah, they didn't catch it.
Nobody caught it because he was articulate and it flowed right off. He let all these black people who had been standing in line to vote for him, he let every last one of them know, I ain't nothing like y'all.
Yeah. Well, they catching it now.
Yeah. Hey, but
now.
See, what y'all probably don't see is how many walls I go into places and Barack is on every wall in black houses because we have, taken a hold that he is us. And the first thing he said, I ain't like y'all.
I'm not like y'all.
That's the first thing he said right off the rip. And none of us caught it. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 18. This dream I, King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now you, O Belteshazzar, declare the interpretation thereof, for as much as all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known unto me the interpretation, but you are able, for the spirit of the holy gods is in you. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonished for 1 hour, and his thoughts troubled him. The king spake and said, Belteshazzar, let not the dream or the interpretation thereof trouble you. Belteshazzar answered and said, My master, the dream be to them that hate you, and the interpretation thereof to your enemies.
Now, even though Daniel know that's not his name, he still answers to this pagan name because, of course, he is in captivity. But then you'll get some people that'll go back and look at that and then try to deal with that in a certain way. Some of the things that we know the most, we've all heard of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Of course, we heard it on movies. Shadrach, Meshach, and a bad Negro. And none of those were their names. And you go and ask people, what is their real name? And everybody who can tell you Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego cannot tell you that their names are Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael. The names either end in L or end in Yah. Go ahead.
The tree that you saw, which grew and was strong, whose height reached unto the heaven, and the sight thereof to all the earth, whose leaves were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and it was meat for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and upon whose branches the fowls of the heaven had their habitation. It is you, O king, that are grown and become strong, for your greatness is grown, and reaches on to heaven, and your dominion to the end of the earth. And whereas the king saw a watcher, and an holy one coming down from heaven, and saying, Hew the tree down, and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beast of the field, till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which is come upon my master the king, that they shall drive you from men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make you to eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet you with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over you, till you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, and gives it to whosoever he will.
Right. So what is the whole thing is he's going to have power. He's going to get power. He's going to have this money, keep this rulership. But then Yahweh says he's going to basically lose his mind until he gets to the point and realize that Yahweh is the one that gives power. Because what happens is, especially when we feel like we on top, I did this, I have established this. I got this. And then Yahweh has to insert some humility. Go ahead.
And whereas they commanded to leave the stump of the tree roots, your kingdom shall be sure unto you. After that you shall have known that the heavens do rule.
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto you, and break off your sins by righteousness, and your lawlessness by showing mercy to the poor, if it may be a lengthening of your tranquility.
Right. That you may be able to lengthen the time of having a peaceful rulership. Go ahead.
All this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. The king spake and said, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty?
So he could walk, the most he could keep his mouth closed with 12 months. That's it. He like, look, I can't take this no more. Look at this, what I have built for myself. Look at how great I have done. Me. And it had already been warned. Look at man, don't look good for you. Try to do such and such that you may lengthen the time of your peace. See, it's hard to keep quiet when you got a whole lot of stuff bottled up inside, and he has all this power and he has all these things. See, it's easy to be humble when you can't beat the person in front of you. See, when Bruce Lee walk up in front of you, it's real easy to be, you know what, no, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. Because you know he can bring that left foot up to your right ear and before you even be like, who hit me? Who hit me? You ain't even see his hand move and he done hit you 3 times. It's real easy to be humble in that situation. The question is, can you be humble when you think you're going to win? That's when it counts. See? Can you be humble when you got a pocket full of money? Everybody can be quiet when they ain't got no money. See? We ain't got no money, we go somewhere and go sit in the corner. No, y'all go ahead, I'm straight. But when you got a pocket full of money, can you come sit down and still be peaceful? That's what the question is. So he says, look, cut off all of this stuff that you may lengthen your peaceful time. If you can do that, you will have increased peace. Go ahead.
While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven, saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from you.
While the word was in the king's mouth, you have spoken this upon yourself, and here it is. Go ahead.
And they shall drive you from men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make you to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over you, until you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, and gives it to whomsoever he will.
Right. So that he will understand this was given to you by my will. Regardless as to how you believe you got it, it was given by my will. And until you understand that, you go out here with these animals and eat grass. Go ahead.
And now it's being established because the exact same words that Danielle told you is
right.
what you hearing.
Right. And he done warned you beforehand. But you know, talking beforehand is something that's very difficult to do because it's not in the moment. So you can try to tell people and warn them or something. They ain't really trying to hear you until that situation is presented before them in the flesh. Then it's something altogether different. Go ahead.
The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like bird's claws.
So then what we're dealing with, we're talking about a king who has power. So then we're looking at him losing his mental fortitude. He has lost his mind to this point that he's not able to do basic things that a normal thought process would bring about. Come in here and wash yourself. Come in here and do this. That is gone. So we're talking about a king to get to the point where you're homeless. when you talk about there was a and it was one of the I can't remember the guy's name because it didn't play that long. It was one of the guys from um, Tennessee Titans, young guy. They know that a lot of the older guys developed that CTE from their heads clanging up against each other, but some of the younger guys are starting to get it. This guy was 25 years old. Of course, he's a millionaire in NFL. His mama started telling them something wrong with my baby. He was just doing all kind of things out of his head. 25 years old, has a mansion, was sleeping out on a park bench. Got time to show up for training camp. He didn't show up. Nobody found him. They didn't know where he was. And the coach would not fire him. The coach, he did not show up. So the NFL knew something was wrong with this dude. I think it was a cornerback. So he's going, he's making these hard tackles. Boom, boom, boom. Cause a person's head is not meant to take that kind of, stuff. We look at football and we like it, but it is a very, very brutal sport. So it took a lot of people some time to develop the CTE where they, lose their thought, and a lot of them become very violent. That's why Junior say I'll end up, killing himself. And you have, they have very violent things. It's all in their head. So this has happened to a very young guy, and I don't know what eventually happened to him, because when it first happened, they wouldn't fire him off the team. He's still on the team, which says to me, the NFL will cut you if you get into a fight with your girlfriend. Mm-hmm. This dude didn't show up for months on end, and they won't release him from the team or fine him. They know something wrong with him, and they know how it got to be wrong with him.
Yeah, he got much more of a stake in the team than they know.
Well, I don't know what eventually happened. I may have to look that up to see what happened over time, but none of that matters, man, if you don't have your thought process. None of anything matters if you can't think and do normal things. If you don't know to go in the bathroom and close the door.
That's true.
What kind of money? None of that means anything. Your $1 million house don't mean nothing if you ain't got sense enough to go inside of it when it rains. You got $1 million house, but you won't walk inside of it when it rains.
It means a whole lot if the other side won't stop it, and they know that that's what's going on with that person. That person must have a whole lot more at stake in that than what they are allowing to be known.
Well, brother, you can't stop somebody from doing, what it is they have set their mind to. All you can do is warn them and tell them what the deal is. But at the end of the day, everybody has free will. And I got to let y'all know when you before you talk, let me know. None of the viewers can hear anything that y'all saying. I got to have him turn the mic on. It just sounds like a break in me talking when somebody else says something. So when you got a question, raise your hand. Let me get him to turn the mic on so it won't just sound like a break in me talking. Go ahead.
Verse 34. And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me. And I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honored him that lives forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing. And he does according to his will in the army of heaven, and among the inhabitants of the earth. And none can stay his hand, or say unto him, What does you? At the same time my reason returned unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom mine honor and my brightness returned unto me. And my counselors and my masters sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added unto me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all whose works are truth, and his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride he is able to abase.
And he know this for a fact because he was humbled by the power of Yahweh. So he says, all that walk in pride, he is able to make them humble. He's able to knock them down. And he knows this with his own experience, having been told beforehand, having had it happen to him, and then come out of it. But then you see the whole glory even of Yahweh through in the time of punishment. His whole kingdom still standing after all that. Now, he out peeing in the yard, eating grass like the oxen. You know he ain't bathed, so he smells horrid, but he's still the king. And when his punishment is done, he's able to get back up and walk right back in and do what he's supposed to do. But now, he's doing it with a different humbleness of mind. Because even though Yahweh took his whole ability to deal with himself, he still preserved everything that he had. Go ahead.
Continue with verse 5.
Yeah. Hold on, that we gonna get it. We already told him. That we get that. Go ahead.
Daniel chapter 5 and verse 1. Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of his masters, and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, and the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of Elohim, which was at Jerusalem. And the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines drank in them.
Now, when you deal with this whole thing here, you're talking about something that has taken place before. His father has taken these things out of the temple, which was in Jerusalem. When we go back to all of those things, Raiders of the Lost Ark and all of these things was about going and taking the holy things of Israel out of those temples. Okay? So we have, these are blockbuster movies. These are movies that have made a cajillion dollars because all of the earth want to go and get those things. Because in their mind, if they can possess certain things of different rulerships, then they will be able to have that power. So they go searching the earth to find these certain relics. And they know that a certain amount of that stuff is in the basement in the Vatican. They said that the menorah that was in the temple said the Vatican was openly displaying it. And then when the Jewish start saying they wanted some of that stuff back, then they took it and put it away. Because they already know, look, we stole it, and we know y'all ain't real Jews. We ain't getting it to you. What we gonna get to you for? You just as fake as we are. Go ahead.
Verse 4. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand, and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote against one another.
Right. If you saw the fingers of a man's hand start writing on the wall, but ain't no man now, but his hand is writing on the wall, I think my knees gonna start clacking together too. Like, whose hand is that? You know what I'm saying? What is he writing on that wall? Go ahead.
The king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And the king spake, and said to the wise men of Babylon, whosoever shall read this writing, and show me the interpretation thereof, shall be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom.
Right. So then when we see that, as soon as a brother get a little money, he get him a gold chain. This go way back farther than brothers. All right, this go way back. You know, brother get to be the ruler in the kingdom. You knew by the certain jewelry that he had on. When they talk about the ring was his signet. All right, so it had an indentation on the ring. So when it says it was sealed with his ring, he take the ring, put it in ink, then press it on the paper. That would be the seal. That's where the seal came from. That's how they know this came from the king. Why? Because I see his signet. So he stuck that ring in there. Now it's a seal. Now we just got stamps and people just put a seal. No, his ring was a seal. So you knew that it either had to come from him or very close to him, because whoever did it, they had his finger. Go ahead.
Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his masters were astonished. Now the queen, by the reason of the words of the king and his masters, came into the banquet house. And the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not your thoughts trouble you, nor let your countenance be changed. There is a man in your kingdom, in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. And in the days of your father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar your father, the king, I say, your father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers.
So, because this brother has a certain power, he is then sit in a place among, look, they're magicians, astrologers, because understand how they, a lot of times you have those people who deal in, what they call that, cosmology. Now, this last dude who claimed he had done got that letter, Pastor Omar,
Right.
now he's supposed to be dealing in cosmology, talking about the earth flat. Now they doing all this thing. Be careful, you might fall off the edge of it. If you go too far, you're gonna fall off the edge of the earth. Now they do, and when they got their cosmology thing going on, they believe they can chart the stars and make prophecies according to certain dates. So they'll tell you, tell me your birthday. Okay, well I take those numbers, and then those numbers mean, man, get out of here, man. That's what I'm gonna need you to do with that cosmology. So I actually had a brother, I'm telling you, I was standing in this room. Brother told me he can chart the stars and prophesy himself. He said, ain't no need of praying to no God. I pray to myself. The brother said he could give me the dates of my birth and prophesy. Now, of course, me and Kish was sitting there, and then the dude, him and his friend got into it, and his friend punched him in the face. Of course, we said, why you didn't prophesy that you was finna get punched in the face and then move? You know what I'm saying? I prophesied that there's a punch coming in my face. So I react to my own prophecy and then I move. See, so nobody should be able to hit you if you can prophesy and you can see the future. Nobody should ever be able to hit you. They be like, Sock, why you move to the left? Because somebody come to the right. Sock, why you stepping back? Because I'm about to go there. You should never be able to be subdued in any situation. See? So understand the how the earthly still deal with heavenly gifts. This is a gift of Elohim, but you see how man deals with it. So you can't get thrown off when you see how man deals with things, that now he's with the astrologers and soothsayers. There was President Reagan. Reagan wouldn't do nothing without talking to his soothsayer. He had we talking about a president of the United States. He had a set-out witch that he talked to, who gave him, with Gene Dixon?
Gene Dixon.
Yep. He had a set. Now, everybody don't vote for him now. But when he get ready to make decisions, then he talk to him a witch. I'll see y'all in a minute. And so, oh, thou stinking witch. Read my palm. Hold my hands, witch. Hold my hands. Come on, witch. Tell me what should I do for this country. Wait a minute. This dude is supposed to be leading the free world. And he getting all this information from a witch. See, this is normal stuff. Go ahead.
And that's all that cosmology and astrology and stargazing.
Hold on, I'm trying to get this mic off and it ain't working. It's like, no, I'm staying on you, Jack. Go ahead.
I mean, that's the same thing as that's that cosmology and astrology and the study of the stars, where they're trying to prophesy and get off into things that they don't know anything about.
But you know what? They use those things for worship. Even when you look, I had always asked the question. It was a question to me when I was going to, or had just came out of Sunday church, why it was always the three pyramids and the phallic symbol on the front of those churches. And you have to ask yourself, you can't find that design anywhere in the Bible, but every church has the three pyramids and the phallic symbol. Every church has the same design. So you have to ask the question, how did you all get the same building plan? But we can't find the plan in the Bible. When you get to, and that's why I said you have to force yourself to watch some of this stuff on the History Channel, because they do everything into ancient aliens. But there was a part, and they're not going to connect the dots for you. What they're trying to prove, their aliens theory. So to deal with certain things, you have to learn how to listen. And this is where people get in trouble at, because they listen to somebody's video and they take everything from it. And you have to learn to train your ear as to what things are partially right, what things are good to deal with, and what things need to be thrown in the trash. Well, one of the things they end up explaining how or what the pyramids were for. They are the three stars on Orion's belt. That's why you got the three pyramids of Giza. And then, of course, nobody said anything about the church, but boom, that hit my answer, my question. Boom, that's where the three pyramids come from in the front of the church. It is Orion's belt. This is why when you look on the back of a dollar, they say it's a Christian country, but they got a pyramid and an all-seeing eye of Horus, an Egyptian god, on the back. So they're teaching us or saying one thing, but the elite are doing something altogether different. So they give us enough stuff for us to be subjugated while they deal with something else on a higher level than what they're going to allow us to deal with. Go ahead, bro.
Daniel chapter 5 and verse 12. For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams and showing of hard sentences and dissolving of doubts were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. Then was Daniel brought in before the king, and the king spake and said unto Daniel, Are you that Daniel which are of the children of the captivity of Yehuda, whom the king my father brought out of Uri?
Mm-hmm.
I have even heard of you.
My father brought you out from among your people and placed you in a better situation here than your captive people. So the question is, the statement is already being made to A. All right, now remember now, let me show you a little something. You could be over there with your people living poor. So already show me some kind of, good thought process, because my father brought you out of Uri where the rest of your people at. Go ahead.
I have even heard of you, that the spirit of the gods is in you, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom is found in you. And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known unto me the interpretation thereof. But they could not show the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of you, that you can make interpretation and dissolve doubts. Now if you can read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, you shall be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about your neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom.
Right. So then you could tell who had certain authority by what they wore and what articles they had on. when we read the thing about King David's daughters that were virgins, they all had on certain clothing. So when the one daughter was raped, she took her clothing of diverse colors and she tore it up. She was no longer a virgin. Go ahead.
Then Daniel answered and said before the king, let your gifts be to yourself, and give your rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation. O you king, the Most High Elohim gave Nebuchadnezzar your father a kingdom, and majesty, and glory, and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him. Whom he would he slew, and whom he would he kept alive, and whom he would he set up, and whom he would he put down. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him.
But when his heart was lifted up, and you can talk to people all you want, and they can say that their heart is not lifted up. But how did Yahweh know his heart was lifted up? By the words that proceeded out of his mouth. And once he let them certain words come out of his mouth, his heart was lifted up, and his judgment came upon him. Go ahead.
And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beast, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High Elohim ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appoints over it whomsoever he will. And you, his son, O Belshazzar, has not humbled your heart, though you knew all this.
Pause. You grew up knowing all this. How is it that you hadn't humbled yourself? You have seen all of these things. Why you got to go? Why did somebody have to tell you about Daniel? Why somebody got to tell you? Go ahead.
But have lifted up yourself against the Adonai of heaven. And they have brought the vessels of his house, and they have brought the vessels of his house before you and your masters, your wives, and your concubines have drunk wine in them.
Right, so they partying with the holy things of Yahweh. See, a lot of times people come and they take things, and even in some of those things where we can say, okay, the Vatican has looted, the old temple, and they took, some things out. Let me tell you how wonderful Yahweh is. He'll let them take all that stuff so they can hold it and take care of it. And then when it's time for Israel to go, he'll be like, excuse me, Pope, let me talk to you for a second. Pope, come here. Hey, look here, you got about $3 million worth of stuff in there. I'm gonna need you to have that stuff out of here about Tuesday. Thank you. We appreciate you holding it now. And I tell you what, I won't even kill all your people if you hurry up and get it by Tuesday.
Thank you very much.
You know what I'm saying? You ain't been doing that but holding it.
Thank you.
That's all you've been doing. Because now you're going to have to give every last bit of it back. So while we worried about all of these things, like Yahweh don't have the power. People trying to do things themselves. We're going to go back and we're going to go take, you better go sit down. Let Yahweh do his job. So the whole time they holding it, they can't do nothing with it. And then when they get ready to do something with it, Yahweh do something to them. Go ahead.
And you have praised the gods of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the Elohim in whose hand your breath is, and whose are all your ways, have you not glorified. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. And this is the writing that was written, Mene, Tekel, Upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing. Mene, Elohim has numbered your kingdom and finished it. Tekel, you are weighed in the balances and are found wanting. Peres, your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. And Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old.
So then we see that the same situation that ended up happening unto the father, that same spirit end up dealing with the Son in as far as walking against humility and having to be judged by Yahweh. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 1. Go ahead, bro.
You know, in some cases you'd say, well, how come the son wasn't given an opportunity like the dad was? You were, when the dad was shown as an example to you.
And that's that thing that we don't really take into consideration. I remember when my elder was dying of cancer, there was a lot of brothers that were really upset, and they were thinking all of these things, and he should have had more time to do, and they didn't see that there was a part when he knew he was sick and he started teaching certain things, and he was setting people up. I got a whole lot of half teachings, or what I thought was half teachings. They didn't make sense until years down the road. And I had a professor that did that at DeVry, that he would teach, he would give like so much stuff that we eventually, like a lot of us started complaining about it. It was like, man, the guy was like brilliant. He was like the strangest looking one of every professor that was at the place. I mean, he was strange. He had like these old leisure suits, big nappy afro. I mean, he was absolutely brilliant. Dude that started like 3 companies. He was a consultant for NASA. It's, when you so rich that like money don't really mean anything. Clothes don't mean anything. He just dressed any old kind of way, And the richest people, that's, they just walk in, and, that stuff don't mean anything to them. They done been through that phase. So he would throw so much at us, and we just like, man, what is this stuff you saying? And he's like, look, there's certain things that you need to have heard of. The stuff that you need to know, I'm going to make sure that you know it. And then when my elder was going through stuff, of course, he didn't right away tell people what the issue was. He would be telling me bits and pieces of stuff, and I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, it'll make sense when you need it. And later on, I understood what he was talking about. When certain situations happen, okay, now this half thing right here that I thought was half, now this makes sense. It didn't make sense before, but he, knew that certain things were going to be, you don't teach for that long and not know this is going to come upon you. You're going to encounter this. This is going to happen to you. You're going to encounter that over there. Be ready for those things without explaining the whole thing. 1 Peter chapter 1, and let's start that at verse 1.
Cephas, an apostle of Yahshua the Mashiach, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia, elect according to the foreknowledge of Elohim the Father, through sanctification of the Spirit, unto obedience and sprinkling of the blood of Yahshua the Mashiach, grace unto you and peace be multiplied. Blessed be the Elohim and Father of our Adonai Yahshua the Mashiach, which according to his abundant mercy has begotten us again unto a lively hope by the resurrection of Yahshua the Mashiach from the dead, to an inheritance incorruptible and undefiled, and that fades not away, reserved in heaven for you, who are kept by the power of Elohim through faith unto salvation, ready to be revealed in the last time, wherein you greatly rejoice, though now for a season, if need be, you are in heaviness through manifold temptations, that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perish, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yahshua the Mashiach, whom having not seen, you love, in whom, though now you see him not, yet believing, you rejoice with joy unspeakable and full of glory, receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your souls, of which salvation the prophets have inquired and searched diligently, who prophesied of the grace that should come unto you, searching what manner of time the Spirit of the Mashiach, which was in them, did signify, when it testified beforehand the sufferings of the Mashiach and the glory that should follow.
Right. So verse 7, that the trial of your faith being much more precious than that of gold that perishes, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yahshua the Mashiach. So when you deal with how precious metals are purified through fire, the fire doesn't burn them up. Fire burns up wood, hay, and stubble, things that can be consumed. It does not burn up precious metals. Those things are purified with fire, not burned up. So when we consider the fire of the trials that we have to endure, those things are meant to purify us, not burn us up. Go ahead.
Unto whom it was revealed that not unto themselves, but unto us they did minister the things which are now reported unto you by them that have preached the gospel unto you with the Holy Spirit sent down from heaven, which things the angels desire to look into. Wherefore gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and hope to the end for the grace that is to be brought unto you at the revelation of Yahshua the Mashiach.
If you are girding up the loins of your mind, this is not allowing every doctrine to enter into your mind. Gird up the loins of your mind. That means you got to cover those up. That means everybody that comes with a doctrine doesn't lead you astray, because you got a girded up mind. And let me tell you something. As when you get into this word, the more you get into this word, the more you're gonna run into stranger teachings. You first find out about the Sabbath, and then you're so happy. You say, "Oh my God, I done found out about the Sabbath." Then somebody said, "Well, look, there's a Sabbath according to the moon. Then there's a see, you got Enoch's calendar. Then you got a Sabbath that's a Sabbath, but it ain't really a Sabbath. You got 0 days, and you got 1 days, and then you got 6 days, and you got a 7 day, then you got an 8th day, but then you got a 0 day. What? So you went from joy that you got the Sabbath, and now 18 other Sabbath doctrines just show up. You got to gird up the loins of your mind. Otherwise, you about to have you some problems. So then you say, "Oh my God, I know the name of the Father." Then 26 more names show up. If you don't gird up the loins of your mind, you about to have you some problems, boo-boo. Because the adversary, the devil, this is how he causes confusion. Let me throw everything at you. "Oh, you like knowledge? You like knowledge? Here, I got a whole bag of it. Here. There you go. Learn everything. There you go. Yeah, tickle you first, and there it is. There it is. Right. You like it? You want it? You got it, Scab. Yeah. See? He said, "Oh, you want knowledge? I'm going to give you so much that you're going to be the dumbest one in the room. I'm going to give you so much knowledge, you're going to be dumb." What did it say about Slow-Mo? Wasn't he the wisest king we ever had? End up being the dumbest. End up being the dumbest with all his magnificent wisdom. Go ahead.
What Yaakov used to tell us all the time, the reading of many books that made you mad.
Right. Right. And you find that situation where if you get to reading everything somebody put out, before you know it, you're going to be so stupid. You're going to be the smartest, stupid person in the room. Because let me tell you something. For every book that somebody write that says yes, there's another book that somebody else put out that says no. Somebody says walk, somebody else say don't walk. Somebody said talk, somebody else say don't talk. Somebody else said breathe, another one said don't breathe. So you sitting there going, man, so because now you caught in between two opinions. So you don't know whether to breathe out or to breathe in. So now you're stuck. See, because you trying to deal with both of them. Well, maybe I'll be better if I deal with all the thoughts. No, you're going to be crazy as hell. That's what's going to happen if you start allowing all of that stuff to penetrate your thought process. Gird up the loins of your mind. See, a person in their right mind don't just come to the door naked without no clothes. They gird up themselves. That means you put on some clothes. See, you put a covering over yourself. I've been to some places where some people open up the door, and I was like, "No, I'll wait for you to put your drawers on. I promise. I promise, man. Hey, brother, please, put your clothes on, man. You shouldn't. What you open the door for?" Gird up the loins of your mind. protect that, and everything won't be able to get in. That's what, this word starts talking about when it's talking about, be you like children when it comes down to malice, but be you men when it comes down to understanding and dealing with walking in righteousness. For we know what the commandments are. And it ain't no deep thing. When you deal with a lot of other doctrines, have you noticed none of those doctrines are ever really dealing with the commandments themselves? The only thing they'll deal with as far as the commandments is the Sabbath. Because you got people that's trying to tell you to count the Sabbath this way. You got people that'll tell you, that, you need Enoch's calendar to keep the Sabbath. You got those things. As far as the things concerning treating one another right, there ain't a whole bunch of doctrine on that, because it's hard to lead people astray. Do not steal. How you interpret that? I don't care how you say it. You want to say it in Spanish? You want to say it in French? You want to say it in Hebrew? What does it mean? Don't take what does not belong to you. Why do I need any kind of, ain't gonna be no other doctrine on that. Now, I did have a brother one day, say something, to rob or to steal. You remember that? Oh my God. Me and Leah were looking at that brother. You ever seen a dog when a dog turn his head sideways and be like, what in the world is coming out of your mouth?
You got two tails.
The brother said to rob or to steal. And apparently one of them was better than the other. I said, no, brother, they're not. It's not, you didn't do any better. Well, see, I didn't rob him. You know what I'm saying? I stole from him. See, brother, stop. Stop, man. Stop. One ain't better than the other. And this was a brother had been in the word over 15 years. What happened? After so long, you start entertaining so many other doctrines that you don't forget which way is up. Now understand that this was a class that was being taught. When the brother said to rob or steal, now this was after my elder died, and this was one of the head deacons that taught it. And we're sitting there looking at this dude to rob or to steal. Is that a class? Is that this was this brother's class that he taught, to rob or steal. And he's trying to, hey man, I lie not. I lie not. Lael is my witness that this brother was teaching this as a class. And after all that time in the word, things kind of got different. But how did they get different? When you do not have a mind, and the part of right after gird up the loins of your mind, the next part is being sober. See? Because what happens when you're not sober? First of all, you get loose lips, and you allow things to come in your mind that you would be able to block out when you are in full control of your mind. So what does that? Bad doctrine is the spiritual part of not being sober. So you got a physical part of not being sober. That's drinking wine and liquor and things of that nature. That's naturally not being sober. Spiritually not being sober is allowing every manner of teaching to penetrate your heart. Some things may penetrate your ears, and everything that penetrates your ear should not penetrate your heart. Okay? There's some things that ain't supposed to go no farther than your earlobe. Oh my brother, that really sounds interesting. And that's as far as it goes, right there. Because if it goes into your heart, now you got one leg that want to go left and another leg that want to go right. Now, I don't know how long you tried to do that, but you're not going to go too far. With one leg going left and one leg going right, you're going to be stuck in the middle of the street. Because your legs don't agree that the right direction is forward. Because one leg want to do one thing and the other leg want to do something else. You have to gird up the loins of your mind, and be sober. That's naturally and spiritually. Now, is there a problem with drinking? No. We look at the word. Part of the offerings were about bringing wine and liquor amongst those offerings. But there's something altogether different being publicly drunk. There's something altogether different. When Noah was drunk, he was drunk in his own house. It says he had drunk wine and he was uncovered. Well, if you want to get drunk and naked at your house, that's your business. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm the priest of the United Congregation of Israel, not the United Congregation of your house. You understand what I'm saying? So if you want to get drunk and walk around now in your birthday suit and you put a little cone hat on, you say, I don't give that. Ain't got nothing to do with me. You understand? That's not my business. You see? That's not my business. That's your place. See? And Yahweh didn't say drinking was wrong. But when you then take those things out of a private arena and bring them into a public one, now that then does become our business. See? But that private thing, that's your business. See? So, but you know, we went through that whole thing of allowing what was right and wrong to be decided by what's legal in man's law, because there was a time that alcohol was illegal. So then you had a whole lot of people teaching you going to hell if you drink a beer, you going to hell. You drink wine, you going to hell. You gonna burn the lake of fire wide open. You gonna have gasoline draws on. You gonna just combust for wine, right? Because man's law said it was illegal. So then they figured if it was illegal according to man, now it should be then illegal according to God, as they would say. And then we find out, hey man, y'all must not be reading this book. Because see, now there's a whole lot of people that's going to have to reevaluate again. Because in all our lives, all they did was teach us that marijuana was evil. Now you got a whole lot of places that's starting to legalize marijuana. So now some people who have taught all their lives, and I've listened to some, and I've watched some. You know, they smoke them left-handed cigarettes. You know that wacky tobacco. You know that rabbit tobacco. Rabbit tobacco. What is that? You know that left-handed stuff. They smoke them little bitty cigarettes. Can you roll up yourself? Oh, yeah, they smoke that devil. Now, all of that was being built up by this is illegal according to their law. Then you look, marijuana treats almost every ailment on the planet. And now the stuff that they got in them pharmacies is killing people in a week. So they done told us our whole lives marijuana was the devil. Then you go in CVS and get a pill, and all of a sudden the brother walking sideways down the street. What the hell is wrong with him? I went to a guy's house and he was so happy he was alive. It was sad. He said, man, they gave me some medication, and had my daughter not came by here looking for me, I'd be dead. She came and she was beating on the door. She started beating on the window. She was like, he not answering. He said, man, they gave me some medicine. And he said, I'm just now coming to. And I could tell that, he looked, kind of strange in the face. He said, I'm just now coming back to myself. They gave me some medicine that messed me up. And the brother was sitting there. When somebody see you and they don't know you, but they like ready to hug because he's so happy that his life has been, granted back to him. Because he was like, bro, I was almost dead in here because of this medication. Now, this was legal medicine that he got prescribed and got out of a store. I was looking at a thing and they had this thing on about Rick James and all the enormous amounts of cocaine that he was doing, all of these drugs, and he had like all of these ailments or whatever. And then he ended up dying. And I think he OD'd. When they said when he died, he had 7, 8 different drugs in his body when he died. Now, the crazy thing about that is you look at Rick James was a party man. He did all of these things, right? Prince was actually one of his people that he brought on tour in the beginning. And we look at all the wonderful things Prince did. Prince only lived 1 year longer than Rick James. Same thing, but his drug came out the drugstore. Still died of drugs. Don't matter where you get the drugs from. See, don't matter where they come from. Don't matter where they came from, Pookie or CVS. Okay, they're still drugs. I mean, to see that side by side really did trip my head out. That Prince only lived 1 year longer than Rick James. And his drugs was legal.
Yeah, a lot more for them.
See, but that's where the real powerful stuff is.
That's right.
Coming out of that building that we call a drug store. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 14. As obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust in your ignorance. But as he which has called you is holy, so be you holy in all manner of conversation.
Right. So there's a way that you carry yourself that you have to learn according to the word and try your best to walk in it, because we are then representatives of Yahshua, whom we have been baptized in. Go ahead.
Because it is written, be you holy, for I am holy. And if you call on the Father, whom without respect of person judges according to every man's work, pass the time of your sojourning here in fear. For as much as you know that you were not redeemed with corruptible things, as silver and gold, from your vain conversation received by tradition from your fathers.
Right. The things that we received from our fathers, the tradition that we received was we go to church on Sunday. We keep Christmas. We keep New Year's. We keep Halloween. This is vain traditions. These are vain traditions that we received because these are the things that were given unto us. So we walked in those things because that's what we thought was right. But then once we have a renewed mind in the spirit, then we learn to do other things. Go ahead.
But with the precious blood of Yahshua, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot, who verily was foreordained before the foundation of the world, but was manifest in these last times for you, by whom do believe in Elohim, who by him do believe in Elohim, that raised him up from the dead, and gave him glory, that your faith and hope might be in Elohim. Seeing you have purified your souls in obeying the truth through the Spirit unto unfeigned love of the brethren, see that you love one another with a pure heart fervently, being born again, not of corruptible seed, but of incorruptible, by the word of Elohim, which lives and abides forever. For all flesh is as grass, and all the glory of man as the flower of grass. The grass withers, and the flower thereof falls away. But the word of the Adonai endures forever. And this is the word which by the gospel is preached unto you.
All right, let's go to Psalms 119. And let's start that at verse 1.
Psalms 119. Blessed are the undefiled in the way, who walk in the law of Yahweh. Blessed are they that keep his testimonies and that seek him with their whole heart.
Now, when you deal with that, if you seek him with your whole heart, there's certain things that you're not going to do. There's certain things that you're going to allow it to redirect your steps. And then the important part of it is learning to walk in the law of Yahweh. This is why so many other doctrines come about. The adversary has to somehow convince you to walk away from what pleases our Creator. See, there's one thing about there are certain ways to, win a fight. See, you can win a fight by just out punching or out kicking the other individual. But then there are some different ways of fighting. And if you can convince the person before any punches are thrown.
You already lost.
The fight already over. Fight already over. Because they have either been convinced not to fight, and now they have either not swung or not have done such and such. Now it's a done deal. It has already been, this person has been subdued. There are times when an army comes up on the land and they give them an opportunity to surrender. It actually works in the other party's favor if they surrender. Now they get control of that city and they didn't lose not one of their soldiers. Go ahead.
They also do no lawlessness. They walk in his ways. You have commanded us to keep your precepts diligently. Oh, that my ways were directed to keep your statutes. Then shall I not be ashamed when I have respect unto all your commandments.
So then we have to understand which things are important. Because what happens is a lot of times we put all of this focus on things that will not have any bearing on your salvation.
Mm-hmm.
So we let ourselves get pulled off into all of these non-salvation issues. And now you off way over here because the loins of your mind is not girded up. So now, here come Lucifer with a whole bunch of knowledge. Understand, the beginning of destruction started in the garden with knowledge. If you eat from this tree, you're going to know everything. Don't you want to know everything? Yeah, I really do. I want to know everything. I want to be so smart. I want to be smiggity smart. Yes, I do. I want to know everything. Right. So you're going to be smart and dumb at the same time. And that is a very intricate mix, a very confusing mix to have all of this intelligence, but to still be leading yourself right into to spiritual death at the same time. And if that is not one of the most confusing things ever, it is exactly what came among our people. Go ahead.
Times are so different now. When I was in the Christian church, I remember, we sat in there and we just listened to things. People didn't ask questions. They didn't really study. They didn't research. They barely brought a book. And now that we understand that stuff wasn't right and that, we were getting a false doctrine, it's now, we question everything. We don't know what to question. We don't know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like we've gone from one extreme to the other, where people just don't settle in on study and settle in and then begin to walk. You got to walk in this word. You can't be willy-nilly about the word.
Well, cut that overhead mic on, brother. Go ahead.
No, I think we do question. We ask the question, and we know what the answer is. The whole thing is, we don't want to make that change within ourselves. We want everything around us and everybody around us to change, but we don't want to change. And once we start to change and everybody starts to change together, that's going to make the difference. It's not going to make a difference as long as you think you can make somebody else change and you're not going to heed anything. That's not how Yahweh works. At least it's not the way it has worked in my life. And I've seen and been through a whole lot of things. And if it don't work that way for me, I know it can't work that way for nobody else.
Well, we definitely have to take some personal thing when it comes down to making those changes. It's got to be a personal place with us. That is about what that whole being, renewed in the spirit of your mind. That is what that whole thing is about. And if we constantly, I tell people all the time when we're reading those commandments and it says, thou shalt not steal. Thou don't mean they. See, some people read it and say, they shall not commit adultery. But I'm on my way to Keisha's right now. You know what I'm saying? Wait a minute, that says thou. That means you. Okay? That means you. That don't mean they and them and them. That's not what that means. Go ahead, bro.
The first thing is, even coming into the word, the question has to be asked, or the question has to be addressed. Are you here for knowledge, or are you here for salvation?
Right.
Right.
$1 million question.
Right.
And see, you use knowledge that helps you attain your salvation.
Mhm.
Right.
Now, if there's knowledge that's not going to help you attain your salvation, it is not necessary to entertain those things.
Not profitable at
See?
all.
And that's that thing we have to, because let me tell you something. How many times you've gone to the mall because you know, and you went for one thing, but you know they got them shiny things in there in the mall. They got shiny banners and everything. It's sale, limited time only, buy now, right now. I mean immediately now. So next thing you know, you at home with $250 worth of stuff, and then it hits you. Damn, I didn't get what I went to the mall for. Ah, man. You done spent $250, but you didn't get what you went there for. Right. Your mind wasn't girded up. You let every flashing thing grab your attention. Let me tell you something. If y'all haven't seen Ralph Rex the Internet, I know it may hurt some of y'all, especially if you ain't got no kids, because you're going to look real strange in the kid movie. Y'all need to go see it. Everything grabs their attention, and it's very, very interesting. That, you know, they're telling you got to be careful when you're on the internet, because you grab hold to some strange things. Then they got a pop-up blocker that's an actual man that come and beat somebody up, you know, because it's trying to keep the strange stuff out. It is very interesting if you look at it and apply it to what's happening. This is supposed to be a kiddie movie, but it is some very interesting stuff that's happening in this kiddie movie about staying and maintaining the focus that we are supposed to be on. It's something very interesting. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you're a parent letting your kids, your small kids, watch Caillou. That's going to question everything you say or do.
Yeah.
And go totally against everything.
What the brother was talking about is letting your kids watch Caillou, and it's a little kid cartoon, and I was flipping. I remember flipping through the channels, and one of my kids was trying to watch that, and you know, their mama said, no, I can't watch that one right there, because I'm gonna end up beating them. I said, why? Because when you watch this cartoon, Caillou questions everything, everything that he's told. Now, this is a cartoon, so the kids are then learning, and you might be seeing your kids do something, and you don't know where they're getting it from. This kid, if the parent says sit down, Caillou said, well, why should I sit down? Where I'm from, that's called a butt whooping. What that called? That you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's called a butt whooping. You know what I'm saying? It's time to go to bed. Why I gotta go to bed? What? Well, I'll tell you what. Let me explain it to you. Whop, 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 whop. Okay, now I understand. Thank you. There you go. That's how you explain that right there.
Right.
See? So, but what does that do? You are able to see then that your kid watched this and it affected them. Now, do we see how the things that we watch affect us? See? And we don't want to act like or deal with that it affects us. But why you think women like them little mushy movies? See? They watch them little girly films. All of a sudden they're like, baby, come over here and sit right here. Well, what am I sitting right here for? Because I've been watching this chick flick. I'm feeling special. What are you feeling special about? I'm just feeling real chicky. Yeah, I'm feeling real chicky right now. This chick flick done made me chicky. What? So what happened? What she watched is affecting her thought process. Same thing happened with brothers.
That's right.
And we ain't no different. See? When I was young, I used to watch that Kung Fu Gold. You couldn't tell me I didn't know karate. I thought, He's trying to figure out how that dude jumped from the ground and then he jumped into the tree. I didn't realize reverse camera action that he was actually jumping out of the tree. And then they just played it in reverse. You know how many times I almost hurt myself as a kid? I done watched that Kung Fu Gold one. Went outside and got beat up. What happened? I watched it. It affected my mind. But see, now you got grown people that don't realize you're watching stuff that is affecting your thought process. You need to learn when, you know what, it's time to turn this off. See, I had some people show me some of that stuff of the Talmud, what the Jewish read. It was some stuff in there that was so sick I had to put it down. There are people who have played movies and they told you, I should have never played that part because it messed up my mental. Because they got to study and become this individual to do that. The dude that played Batman ended up dead later, playing the devil. He entertained a real demonic spirit and trying to understand that. And there's certain things that after you deal with it, it is going to affect you for a while and you got to make it out of that. Denzel Washington said, Training Day messed his head up. Now this is an accomplished actor, but he entertained that spirit for every, understand, as we're reading all of these things, everything that he's saying is already written down. So he's got to read that and memorize it. Now that's becoming a part of your mind and your spirit. So he has to become this guy, Alonzo. So he out there going crazy, talking to the kid. He said he found himself, he at home, talking to his kids. Mijo. He was like, damn, I'm losing my mind. I haven't, my kids ain't Spanish. What the hell I'm going on? Right. Because see, he done brought home this sick, twisted mentality of his job. He done brought that home. So, and we don't think that this stuff affects you. You don't let kids watch horror movies because you know they're going to be in the bed with you. Every blow of the wind, every leaf that fall, it going to bother them. Can I sleep with you? No, stop watching them movies. But we'll accept that with the children, but we got to accept that with our own selves and understand that you can't watch everything. And you have to build yourself up. To this day, I don't watch them scary movies. I think too much. I'm a think. See, I know my limitations because I know me. I'm a thinker. You know what I'm saying? So I'm one of them dudes that after I watch it, I'm be like, you know, man, you know that evil dude came through the window. Baby, let's check these windows. Let's check these windows. Before you know it, I'm walking around the house with my shotgun. I'm like Deputy Dog. I got a pistol on the side. I got the shotgun in hand. I'm dressed in all black. She's like, what the hell you doing? I'm getting ready for bed. What bed you getting ready for? You look like you better join the Robin crew. Hey, I done watched this movie and it's got my mind gone. I'm out in front of the house in the backyard. Everybody like, man, Daddy crazy as hell. I look at, don't let him watch that stuff no more. He don't know how to act. But see, I know my limitation. The problem is other people don't know theirs. So they keep dealing with stuff that tear their mind up. There's certain things I'll be looking and you'll see me in the room. The whole family will be watching and I'll be in there about 10 minutes and I'm gone. They're like, where you going? I ain't watching that right now. I ain't watching that. That make me think too much. I don't like them things right there. See, I'm gonna be thinking about all kind of other stuff. If I watch that right there, you know, if it's real, if it's foul, I'm gonna turn it off anyway, y'all, because then y'all gonna be thinking about that, you know. But I don't be watching them little dancing shows. I don't want to watch grown men dance around in tights. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want. I don't want that kind of image in my head. You know what I'm saying? Last thing I want to do is get ready to go to bed, and a dude in long drawers pop up in my mind. You know what I'm saying? Now I can't go to sleep. It's like, what wrong with you? I'm thinking about the dude in his drawers. You know what I'm saying? And I can't be honest about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to lay down and I'm thinking about a man in his drawers. You know what I'm saying? No, now I got to stay up an extra couple hours now to get the man in the drawers out my head. See? But now, if you watching all of these things about doctrine, you got to gird up the loins of your mind so that those things don't take you off to Never Never Land. And for every video you find that says one thing, I guarantee you're going to find 5 others that say something else against it. I guarantee it. See? You know? I guarantee it. So at some point, you're going to have to find where you're going to stand. Go ahead, bro.
Psalms 119 and verse 7. I'll praise you with uprightness of heart when I shall have learned your righteous judgments. I will keep your statutes. O forsake me not utterly. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to your word. With my whole heart have I sought you. O let me not wander from your commandments. Your word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against you. Blessed art you, O Yahweh. Teach me your statutes. With my lips I have declared all the judgments of your mouth. I have rejoiced in the way of your testimonies as much as in all riches.
Right. And if you are rejoicing in the testimonies as much as you do in riches, consider how much attention we pay to riches. Look at how we'll go after it. Riches will direct whether or not we go to sleep at night. If ain't nobody got nowhere to go in the morning, you'll see them hang out all night. But when somebody got to go to work in the morning, all right, no, man, I got to go to bed. I got to get up in the morning. Got to go get this money. Money make you go to bed the night before. Think about that. You go to the night before you going to get money. No, because I got to be real rested when I go get my money. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to be tired and I might count it wrong. I might count it wrong. I want to count my money wrong. I want to have all my focus right. See, because I don't want to get somewhere and say, you know what, I was sleepy when you gave me my money. We need to go back over this. Now, I ain't no going back over it. Whatever you got shouted, you shout. You should have had all your faculties together when you went to go get your money. See, money make you sleep the day before. You got to think about how deep that is. Go ahead.
I'll meditate in your precepts and have respect unto your ways. I will delight myself in your statutes. I will not forget your word. Deal bountifully with your servant, that I may live and keep your word. Open you mine eyes, that I may behold wondrous things out of your law. I am a stranger in the earth. Hide not your commandments from me. My soul breaketh for the longing that it has unto your judgments at all times. You have rebuked the proud that are cursed, which do err from your commandments.
The proud err from your commandments. Now, you may think that this means that these people are unintelligent. No, proud and unintelligent is not the same thing. The pride causes them to step over those commandments while they're heading somewhere else. Go ahead.
Remove from me reproach and contempt, for I have kept your testimonies. Princes also did sit and speak against me, but your servant did meditate in your statutes. Your testimonies also are my delight and my counselors. My soul cleaveth unto the dust. Quicken you me according to your word. I have declared my ways, and you heard me. Teach me your statutes. Make me to understand the way of your precepts. So shall I talk of your wondrous works. My soul melts for heaviness. Strengthen you me according unto your word. Remove from me the way of lying, and grant me your law graciously. I have chosen the way of truth. Your judgments have I laid before me. I have stuck onto your testimonies. O Yahweh, put me not to shame. I will run the way of your commandments when you shall enlarge my heart.
So when we get down to it, we see constantly the commandments, the commandments, the commandments. So we're finding out these are the things that are important unto Yahweh. So these are the things that should be important unto us. So then the adversary is going to try to find some kind of way to get you off of that. not necessarily by dealing with the commandments, but if he can get your attention into dealing with something else, you'll be stepping on the commandments while you headed to deal with that thing and won't even recognize that he's trying to change your focus. And the adversary knows which ones to go after. See, he likes going after situations that will cause problems to other individuals. This is why I tell people, be careful about all that hanging out and doing them shindigging, all that shindigging we like to do. Because the adversary, the devil, say, okay, if I can get this one person, but they by themselves, I ain't going to get but that one. But you know, that one over there, they hang out a lot. And there's about 15 or 20 of them that like to hang out. If I can get that one, I'm going to get all 15 of them. And they all going to be led astray by me dealing with the one. Consider what the adversary did. First thing he did was go after Yahshua. Yahshua was the one that was going to affect everybody else. Then what did he do after that? Yahshua said, Cephas, Peter, Satan desires to sift you like wheat. Why? He was the next one in charge. So what does he do? He go after the ones in charge. So then you start at the top of an organization, and that's who he coming at first. He said, no. Because see, if I can affect you, I can get everybody under you. See? All I got to do is twist your mind. Ain't no need of me twisting all 30 of them. See, then I got to go in 30 different houses. Why I'm going to do that when I can just go in yours? And then I let you twist all the other 30. See? So I'm going to give you this. And then you go ahead and give it to them. Then you got 30 different people's blood on your hand. Go ahead.
Teach me, O Yahweh, the way of your statutes, and I shall keep it on to the end. Give me understanding, and I shall keep your law. Yea, I shall observe it with my whole heart. Make me to go in the path of your commandments, for therein do I delight. Incline my heart unto your testimonies, and not to covetousness. Turn away mine eyes from beholding vanity, and quicken you me in your way. Establish your word unto your servant, who is devoted to your fear. Turn away my reproach which I fear, for your judgments are good. Behold, I have longed after your precepts. Quicken me in your righteousness. Let your mercies come also unto me, O Yahweh, even your salvation, according to your word. So shall I have wherewith to answer him that reproaches me, for I trust in your word. And take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth, for I have hoped in your judgments. So shall I keep your law continually forever and ever.
Jump to verse 86.
Psalms 119 and verse 86. What just happened? This thing just changed on me. Psalms 119. Verse 86, right?
Yeah.
All your commandments are faithful. They persecute me wrongfully. Help you me. They had almost consumed me upon earth, but I forsook not your precepts. Quicken me after your loving kindness, so shall I keep the testimony of your mouth. Forever, O Yahweh, your word is settled in heaven. Your faithfulness is unto all generations. You have established the earth, and it abides. They continue this day according to your ordinances, for all are your servants. Unless your law had been my delight, I should then have perished in mine affliction. I will never forget your precepts, for with them you have quickened me. I am yours. Save me, for I have sought your precepts. The wicked have waited for me to destroy me, but I will consider your testimonies.
And all the things that I encounter, I'm still going to consider your testimonies and not what my flesh is leading me to do. Because let me tell you something, when we are being persecuted or going through something, this is the time that all the information or all the direction is pointing to you. This is that point when Lucifer come in your ear. if I was you, I'd go and hit me somebody right now. If I was you, I'd do set, because now he got all the attention on you. If you buy into it, then now he's starting to give you suggestions. He ain't gonna make you do nothing. You're gonna do it on your own. He just gonna offer you a suggestion, which ain't nothing but a thought. Go ahead.
I've seen an end of all perfection, but your commandment is exceeding broad. Oh how love I your law. It is my meditation all the day.
Mm-hmm.
Though through your commandments has made me wiser than mine enemies, for they are ever with me.
Uh-huh.
I have more understanding than all my teachers, for your testimonies are my meditation.
Right. When you consider something, I have more understanding than all my teachers, for your testimonies are my meditation. What happened is a lot of times people are going to try to learn something new. And in the process of trying to learn something new, they step on the stuff that's already there. Okay? So consider something. Eli taught Samuel. Samuel became the greatest of all the prophets. But who taught him? ABC. Eli. He became greater than Eli. But Eli taught him. But Eli, in dealing with his own flesh, wouldn't correct his own sons from doing the evil that they were doing. So there's one thing about knowing righteousness. There's another thing about walking in it and allowing it to direct your ways. So when he says in 99, I have more understanding than all my teachers. Now, there's a level of understanding. There's this thing about, yeah, we got knowledge, but do you have the understanding to walk in it? I have encountered brothers, honestly, there were some brothers before I got to this place of teaching that I thought was so much more intelligent than I was. I mean, I've known brothers who had that photographic memory. And from the beginning of getting in this word, they could quote scriptures, they can do, and I never could do that, especially then. And I was just like, wow, man, I just don't have it like those brothers. And then situations happen, and then they forgot all the word that right. And I was like, wait a minute, now you was quoting scriptures, but you couldn't remember the scriptures when you got into the situation. And I was like, wait a minute, what's happening here? And then I learned, wait a minute, there are people that have more knowledge than me, but I have more understanding than them. Interesting. Go ahead.
And that's the thing with learning new things. You know, he said he meditates. When you meditate on that word, man, you allow it to saturate you. And as you go through it and you grow, once you go back, you're going to find you understand things on a different level each time. But if you off chasing stuff, man, you never get to that point where you really, really get into that book and see all the layers it has in there for you.
Now, it's very interesting when you even deal with meditation. This I'm going to focus on this thing. Because, you know, we can say, and I had a gift given to me, and it was a yearly Bible, which, you know, I actually liked, but the whole setup was for you to read the Bible in a whole year. Now, you read it, but you ain't gonna understand none of it. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a bunch of words, you know what I'm saying? And you cover it like a textbook, blah, blah, blah. Because first of all, those things don't connect like that. So they just put a bunch of scriptures. Some of them connect, some of them don't. So by the time you get the understanding over here, you're still not connected to this other thing that connects to it. You don't read that till a month later. And then you don't remember that to try to connect that from a month ago. So you read it, but the understanding does not get there on that level. When you're meditating on something, then it allows you an opportunity to put things together that were not visible right away. You know, there's when it says that the vision happened to Cephas, Peter, that he had this vision of these unclean beasts or whatever. Right away, he like, wait a minute now, nothing common or unclean has touched these lips. So he like, look, I don't eat no pork. I don't eat no pork chop. I don't eat no, you know what I'm saying, no, you know, ham sandwich. You know what I'm saying? Well, why am I having, you know what I'm saying, this crazy vision of these unclean beasts? So this thing happened several times. Then it says, while I meditated, while I thought on the vision, on what it should mean. Now, as he's thinking or meditating on it, then he gets the understanding of what it means. But what if he just took it and ran with it? And by the time the understanding comes, he got a pork chop sticking out the side of his mouth, smothered and covered, and here come the angel, brother. That ain't what that meant, brother. That ain't what. Put the pork chop down, brother. See? Now, what if he just went with that? You see? So there's a meditation period where you don't just take something, boom, accept it, and run. No. Pause. Get a spirit of some opportunity to work with you on that. Because we can yell out a bunch of words and hey, we can be through with this Bible in no time. The question is, how much understanding are we going to have with it? Go ahead.
I was going to say, even with his position, suppose he ran with it and went to the others with it as well. So
right.
Now all of them sitting there eating pork chop.
Right. So now,
quick to deliver it to everybody.
Now, brother, you just brought up a very, very good point. Because it's one thing if he got a pork chop in his mouth. There's something altogether different if you got 30 other people and they all got pork chop, and now you got to go back to them people. You know what? My bad. That ain't what that meant. What he was saying was he gonna take the word to these unclean people. So I'm gonna need you to spit out the pork right now. I'm sorry that I told you that. But it's always easier to not do something than to have to back up and try to undo it. See? So that's where the power of meditating on something and the book says study to show yourself approved. So then we go over some things to try and put that time in so that we will understand something. What'd you have, brother?
No, I was just going to say also, you know, we've read where children were born. And the mother might see something or hear something and just sit back, or the father, and say, they basically meditated on it. They didn't tell the other parents, say, well, you know, I heard this. They sat back and observed. Sometimes it's best to just sit back, observe, and see where this thing is going to go and see how it plays out.
Mm-hmm. And this goes into a question that a brother was going to ask. I want you to get to the end of this. Go ahead.
100. I understand more than the ancients because I kept your precepts.
Now, I understand more than the ancients. Understand, when we go back, there's elders, you know, he's talking about there's ancients. These are aged people who are supposed to have the understanding, but he says, I understand more than them. Why? Is it knowledge-wise? No. Understand what he says. I understand more than the ancients because I keep your precept. See, everything ain't drawing me off into Never Never Land. So I understand more than people who are supposed to be my teachers. They're supposed to, they're older than me. But when it comes down to the walk, they can't walk in your precepts. So that makes my understanding more than theirs. See, if they understood, then there's certain things they wouldn't do. And believe it or not, some of the strangest things that I've seen done from people comes from people who have been in the Word quite some time. There's certain things that you would expect for somebody to newly in the Word to deal with certain things. Then there's certain things that you like, you know what, you've been in the Word too long for this right here.
No, sir.
See? How you get there? Read the next line.
I have refrained my feet from every evil way that I might keep your word.
You see how one thing goes to the next thing. Now, because I keep your precepts, it has then directed my steps from evil things. So because I'm meditating on your precepts, as I start to get towards something that's going to harm me, I'm starting to feel it in my spirit. See, we got to get to that point where, you know, when you out running around and playing in the yard, every now and then, you step in some dog's business. Okay? Now, the first time you step in some dog business, it mess your head up. But you know what it do when you step in some dog business? It gets your mind right. So the next time you out there in the yard, you know what you're doing? You looking for the dog business. You know what I'm saying? You're not just running around willy-nilly no more. Because you know, wait a minute, man, there's some dog business in this yard somewhere. So I need to figure out what the business is so I don't step in it. See? So that first time, it catch you off guard. But if it keep catching you off guard, every time you come that is your shoe that's got the dog business in it, then we got to have a conversation. How do you keep stepping in dog's business? You know what I'm saying? How do you keep getting in it? Good. Especially if you ain't got no dog. You know what I'm talking about? That ain't no saying. Like, you ain't got no dog. I'm trying to figure out how you keep stepping in this business if you ain't got no dog. Go ahead.
Verse 102. I have not departed from your judgments, for you have taught me. How sweet are your words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. Through your precepts I get understanding. Therefore, I hate every false way.
Right. So then there are things that when you encounter them, it automatically should bring up a question in your spirit. And you say, whoa. I don't know if I'm going to deal with this right here. You know, because I'm meditating in these precepts, this right here sounds strange to me. So when the people brought me the Enoch calendar, it automatically started having a problem in my spirit because I'm thinking about these precepts. I'm thinking about, well, wait a minute. When I read in this book, it says 7 Sabbaths shall be 49 days. I said, well, show me 7 of your Sabbaths. So then they got 0 days, a day that ain't a day. I said, well, what the hell is that? I don't know what a day is that ain't a day. What do I do on a day that's not a day? Do I get paid that day? You know what I'm saying?
Am I living?
Should I sleep through that day? What do I do
Hold on. Are you living
on a day that's not that day? What do I do on that day? You know what I'm saying? And if I do evil on that day, do it count? Do it count?
Hey, am I living?
So I can say, you know what, Yahweh? No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did I go over Keisha's house? Yes, but that was day 0. That was day 0. You cannot hold that against me. What? What is that? See? So, you know, that does not compute automatically. It had a problem in my spirit when I heard it. Because I'm thinking, for me to accept what you're saying, I have to knock over his testimonies. And if I got to knock over his testimonies to believe what you're teaching, there's something wrong with what you're teaching. Go ahead.
Your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. I have sworn, and I will perform it, that I will keep your righteous judgments. I am afflicted very much. Quicken me, O Yahweh, according unto your word. Accept, I beseech you, the freewill offerings of my mouth, O Yahweh, and teach me your judgments.
Accept the freewill offerings of my mouth. When we praise Yahweh and say good things about the creator of heaven and earth and all that in them is, now these are spiritual offerings that we have offered up unto other people and all that here. Go ahead.
My soul is continually in my hand, yet do I not forget your law. The wicked have laid a snare for me, yet I erred not from your precepts.
Right. The wicked lay a snare for all of us. They send their little false teachings. They send all their little things. Who's that? Big Benea sent that video where the pastor floated to the pulpit. Y'all seen that video? Well, the dude, he done strapped himself. He done strapped himself in with a little. He got a harness, and he just float out the back of the church, and they float him all the way down, turn him around. He sit at the altar. He stand there and get ready to teach his class, and they all happy.
Should have had that late right now.
So he floating in. So I guess he supposed to be Jesus. So he done floated in. They got him, but it's a show. And we go for the show. Our people are showing up because we're not going to read anything. We're not going to study anything. So then we're going to be entertained. And the more entertaining something is, the bigger the offering we leave. Because we're going to be entertained. And that is a problem. So though the wicked have laid a snare for me, I will not go away from these precepts, no matter how interesting they try to make their things sound. I'm not going to walk away from your precepts. But what's interesting is the way that a lot of things are taught against the precepts is by telling you they don't mean what they mean.
They don't exist.
That's the interesting thing. When you start listening to these strange doctrines, what you have to do, just like I said before, you got to knock down something else to accept this teaching. So the people who don't believe in baptism, they give an understanding that you are then baptized by the word. So they have to change something. So now we got to throw out everything that we've read about baptism and water. Now, all these people got in water. The Mashiach, baptized in water. Saul, baptized in water. Where did we get baptism of the word from? And you find for them, and they will go to the very things that actually prove them wrong, but tell you that it means something else. And if you accept it, gotcha. Loins of your mind not girded up. Because now they're telling you, because think about the confusion I could cause if I said, you see this? This shirt I got on, what color is it? That's red? No, this is blue. No, I'm looking at it, that's red. No, this is blue. You just think that this is red. So if I can change your thought process that this is no longer red, but it's blue, think about how much confusion that's going to cause in the rest of your life when you walk around telling everybody that red is really blue. That one thing is going to make a compounding effect in everything else that you deal with. See? So this is why consider how the adversary said, you shall not surely die. Now, you have to really examine that for the difficulty that's actually in it. Because what they heard, if you eat from this tree, you're going to die. Now, they, first of all, didn't have any concept of death. That's the first thing that you got to understand. Then, they didn't die right away. So it seemed like Lucifer was actually right. It seemed like the serpent actually brought a real viable doctrine. He says, look, you're going to be smart. You're going to know all of this stuff. And Elohim just don't want you to eat it because you're going to become like a god. But you ain't going to surely die. So then when they ate it, we ain't dead. And we smart. Oh my goodness, I'm naked. Now they understood they were naked. They didn't know they were naked before. A child don't know it's naked. Somebody have to tell a child have to get to a certain age before they understand what nakedness is. Children just walk around naked. You take the diaper off, they take out, whoa, running through the house, streaking, laughing and smiling. Get to a certain age, and they don't even want you to come in the room. Don't come in here, I'm putting my clothes on. They understand they're naked now. See? So there was understanding, and then that made them then believe that the serpent must have told me right. I got knowledge. that I didn't have before. And Yahweh said I was going to die. I ain't dead. Not yet. Go ahead.
Your testimonies have I taken as an heritage forever, for they are the rejoicing of my heart. I've inclined my heart to perform your statutes always, even unto the end. I hate vain thoughts, but your law do I love. You are my hiding place and my shield. I hope in your word. Depart from me, you evildoers, for I'll keep the commandments of my Elohim.
Right. What does it say in our word? If anybody entice you, even the closest of your family, they entice you against the serving of Yahweh, our Elohim, then we're supposed to deal with that matter and separate ourselves from that situation. Yet, we will entertain things that actually are attempting to get us to go against Yahweh. And it will affect our thoughts. Sometimes not right away. But you can tell what happens. Sometimes people will ask some questions or they'll start dealing with some things, and you'll just look and say, wow, you've been dealing with that in your heart for the last year or so. So what have you been hearing, or what have you believed about the word that's been taught that you've had that in your heart for over a year? Go ahead.
Uphold me according to your word, that I may live, and let me not be ashamed of my hope.
Check this out. I had a brother that we used to go to church with when my elder was alive, and me and this one young brother got into a altercation, and I told the brother, because I had a recording studio at that time. And, little young brother was trying to bring some girls, but I was like, nah, bro, I'm not finna facilitate that. That's not gonna happen here. So the brother got mad, and he told some other brothers some other things about me. And at this time, there was, a couple of females that would hang around. So I guess he told the brother that I was, with these females, physically. So then I got a cat that had an issue, and I noticed that he had an attitude toward me. This brother had an attitude for against me for a year plus, and it took over a year for the brother to actually say something about it. And I said, it was visibly there that there was something between, you and I, but anytime I did get to discuss it, it would never come out. And what happened was it really wasn't going to come out then. Somebody kind of helped push it. And then the brother said, I realized that it was, that I was wrong about something that I thought I got from a reliable source. Oh. So then he started talking and, finally brought it all out. So then I had to ask him, I said, you got to consider something. So for a year and a half, you've been walking around with hatred of me in your heart. What you think been happening to your prayers for that year and a half? That you've been hating me wrongfully. You might want to go in the attic, because all your prayers are sitting right up there. They ain't went no farther than that. Oh, look at that. Here go that thing I was praying about. All that stuff right up in the attic. Hey, it ain't going nowhere. Ain't nobody heard him. So you've been walking around with hatred and wouldn't even talk to me about it. But I would see the attitude that the brother looked at me with. So you consider how things that penetrate your ear, how it affects your heart. So I had a brother coming to keep the Sabbath every week for a year and a half and got unknown hatred against me for a lie. See? Go ahead.
Hold you me up, and I shall be safe, and I'll have respect unto your statutes continually. You have trodden down all them that err from your statutes, for their deceit is falsehood. You putteth away all the wicked of the earth like dross. Therefore I love your testimonies. My flesh trembles for fear of you. and I'm afraid of your judgments. I have done judgment and justice. Leave me not to mine oppressors. Be surety for your servant for good. Let not the proud oppress me. Mine eyes fail for your salvation and for the word of your righteousness. Deal with your servant according unto your mercy and teach me your statutes. I am your servant. Give me understanding that I may know your testimonies.
Jump to 145.
I cried with my whole heart. Hear me, O Yahweh. I will keep your statutes. I cried unto you. Save me, and I shall keep your testimonies.
And you know, we're talking about some of the toughest brothers that ever lived dealing with some of these things. But nowadays, we too manly to cry. I ain't gonna cry.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna cry. I'm a man. I ain't gonna cry. I'm a man. You better cry that thing out. Pressure bust pipes. You better let that pressure. Hey.
Let it go.
Look, hey, my folk know when they come to my office and the door locked, look, I'm crying. Get the hell out of here. Leave me alone. I want to cry in peace. Go ahead, bro.
I prevented the dawning of the morning and cried. I hoped in your word.
Real men cry. I don't care what they tell you. Go ahead.
Mine eyes prevent the night watches, that I might meditate in your word. Hear my voice according unto your loving kindness. O Yahweh, quicken me according to your judgment. They draw near that follow after mischief. They are far from your law.
Because they draw near that follow after mischief. With all of them things that they're dealing with, it is taking them further and further from his law, his statutes, and his judgments. Go ahead.
You are near, O Yahweh, and all your commandments are truth. Concerning your testimonies, I've known of old that you have founded them forever. Consider mine affliction and deliver me, for I do not forget your law. Plead my cause and deliver me. Quicken me according to your word. Salvation is far from the wicked, for they seek not your statutes. Great are your tender mercies, O Yahweh. Quicken me according to your judgments. Many are my persecutors and mine enemies, yet do I not decline from your testimonies. I beheld the transgressors and was grieved, because they kept not your word. Consider how I love your precepts. Quicken me, O Yahweh, according to your loving kindness. Your word is true from the beginning, and every one of your righteous judgments endures forever. Princes have persecuted me without a cause, but my heart stands in awe of your word. I rejoice at your word as one that finds great spoil. I hate and abhor lying, but your law do I love. 7 times a day do I praise you because of your righteous judgments. Great peace have they which love your law, and nothing shall offend them. Yahweh, I have hoped for your salvation and done your commandments.
And you consider something. Great peace have they which love your law, and nothing shall offend them. When the people who deal with the word the least are the ones who always offended. Every time you talk, oh, I can't believe they said that. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I'm offended. Oh, I'm offended. I can't believe they said this. I can't believe they said that. Right. The people who deal with the word the least are always offended by something. How they going to walk like that? How they going to talk like that? How they going to breathe like that? Right. Oh, my goodness. Go ahead, brother.
My soul has kept your testimonies, and I love them exceedingly. I have kept your precepts and your testimonies, for all my ways are before you. Let my cry come near before you, O Yahweh. Give me understanding according to your word. Let my supplication come before you. Deliver me according to your word. My lips shall utter praise when you have taught me your statutes. My tongue shall speak of your word, for all your commandments are righteousness. Let your hand help me, for I have chosen your precepts.
So if we hadn't got the understanding yet, commandments and statutes are the way and righteousness. So when we trying to figure out what to put our time and energy on, understand where that should be. That's all that we're going to do for tonight. Let's leave out with a prayer. We're going to rise and face the east. And all males, remove your head covering. And females always pray with their head covered. Abba Father, Most High Covenant Elohim of Abraham, Esaac, and Yaakov, we thank you, Abba Father, for giving us some form of understanding of your word. We know that we are walking backwards into this culture that was given unto us, but it is because of the curses that were laid upon our people for the great walking away from the culture that was given unto us. We accept our punishment and we understand those things, but we pray, Father, that you would give us power to make it through these curses. We pray, Father, that you would keep a hedge round about us and our houses and protect us and our children, for we are at war here in the daughter of Babylon, for our kids are persecuted as they walk the streets, and even we are persecuted as we walk these streets, for we know that we're supposed to walk. We know this now, that we're supposed to walk in a certain manner, and we understand now that we are punished 7 times more for our sins. But our people who do not know you, Yahweh, they do not understand why they are being persecuted and why they suffer more than anybody else. We pray, Father, that you would give us all the power that we need to spread your word in all of these places so that our people can understand who they are and why they are going through these things, but to also understand that there is a righteous end to all of these things, and the joy in following you and all the peace that that is going to bring. We pray, Father, that you would uphold us until that time comes. We ask these prayers not only for those that gather with us physically, but even those that gather by way of phones and by way of internet, those that gather out of a pure heart to serve you in truth and in spirit. In Yeshua HaMashiach's holy and divine name we pray. Amen and hallelujah.
Amen.